Hi there, this is Andreas with ExpressPads Finger Drumming, and in this video I want to show you how you can set up the Midi Poly Grid in order to show the magic tone network and make it playable. But before I get into this, I want to let you know what the magic tone network actually is. You can think of it like a playable version of the circle of fifths or the Tonnetz, which is a concept that Euler came up probably in the 1500s. And when you look at the notes that you see on this grid, you see that it's not a linear succession of notes like C, C sharp, D, D sharp, and so on. It's a specific layout which requires those pads to be in a certain relative relation to each other that makes it possible to actually imprint the circle of fifths onto a pad structure. Now you say, okay, that's a grid, it's not a circle, so what are you telling me? The thing is that the circle of fifths repeats itself after 12 notes, and the thing is, you see you have these corners here. So on the horizontal line you have C, which is the center position of the circle of fifths, and then you have the G, which is the 1 o'clock position, 2 o'clock is D, 4 o'clock is A. Sorry, I'm mixing it up. You know what I mean? So you go up in this direction, like you go down on the circle of fifths clockwise. But once you have reached this pad, you can see it's actually the same note like this one here, which means that when you go to the next pad, you could actually also go to this pad, and then you go on. And the same repeats on the next pad row. So you can just cross the line and go to this pad, and then this, and that, and this. And when you have reached the 12th note of the circle of fifths, you go back to C, but this is 1 octave higher. And that means that this block of 12 notes actually repeats on top of this block with 12 notes, just 1 octave higher. And the same goes if you look at the color coding here, it goes into this direction. So you see this E is there, and then this A is there, and this D is there, and that means that this block is repeated in this section as well. Now the good thing is, if you have such a logic in the grid, your pad grid, you can build chords very easily without even thinking a lot. I mean, of course, always think a lot, but you know, if you have a certain finger set of pads, you have this chord, and so for example that's a minor chord, yeah. So but this minor chord is just this one set of fingers, and no matter where you place them, it's a minor chord, as long as you know where the root is, which is the index finger here. It will be that root note's chord. So this is A sharp minor, C sharp minor, C minor, and the same goes for major keys. Here the root is on my thumb, D sharp major, A sharp major, F sharp major, and this way you can build very interesting chord progressions, and especially when you highlight certain scales in which you want to move around. So for example, if you go to the harmonic minor scale, this is now highlighted within the magic tone network. And you know that within this C harmonic minor scale, those are the notes that are available. And since you know that those 3 notes form a minor chord, and those 3 too, and those 3 too, then you know that in this scale you can play these chords, minor chords, if you want to have a minor mode or mood in your composition. And you know that these 3 build a major chord, and these 3 too, and those 4. And this is a very good example now, because you see something's wrong. I don't hear the chord. And that has nothing to do with the app. It has to do with how the tablet interprets 4 fingers being placed that closely to each other. It interprets it as 1 finger being placed there. And that causes issues if you have such a small pad layout. What you also can do in this situation, you can either choose to play the same chord like this, because it's the line swapping, or if you will, but you can also change the number of pads. So let's reduce it a bit, and then we still have all these pads here. We can use the octave buttons up and down if we want to change the octaves. But then again, you can actually vary between different chords, and now I can play this chord, which is a major 7th chord, and it's part of the scale that I've selected. Now the thing is, most music doesn't leave the scale. I mean, especially if you look at contemporary music that is actually quite successful, chart music and so on, it seldom leaves the scale or the mode that it's in. But if you really want to create interesting stuff that sounds different from what is done by everyone else, you can use this tool actually to add non-scale notes, which are all the gray ones here, and see what happens. This is a sus chord. This is 4, this is 2. And then you can add other notes. So this one note here, A sharp 2, is not part of the scale that I've selected. But since all the others are, it can have some beautiful effects in combination with the others. Okay, I got lost in this, sorry for that. Let me continue with what it actually does. And for the meantime, if you're interested in this magic tone network technique, there is a set of videos that I did 8 years ago about it when I found out about this pad layout and built it the first time myself. I thought, okay, this is really cool. I want that people know about it. And I made it a completely free course. I think it's 20 videos. They are really bad, but if you listen closely and watch closely, they will transport the core of the idea. And it hasn't changed. The idea hasn't changed. Just the tools have changed. They have become exponentially better. And that's the reason, I will probably make another video down the road where I explain the magic tone network in depth on this app, the Midi Poly Grid app. Just one more thing, and then I really finish on this one. But it's important to understand, and herefore, it's a nice feature to display the MIDI value and not just a note name. So same thing here, right? What you see is that the relative distance between each and every pad is not, as I said, linear. It's actually a specific logic behind this, and the logic is, if this is your root note, the note right next to it is 7 semitones above it, and the next one right to it is 5 semitones below this one. And this logic repeats. Yeah? So you come from here to there is +7, from here to there is -5, from here to there +7, -5, +7, -5, +7, -5, and so on. And when you go upwards on the pads, you see it's always +4 on each column. And that's the logic. So this is the pad layout which forms the magic tone network, which then makes the pad grid a playable version of the circle of fifths / the Euler's tone network. And this can be very exciting if you like to dive deep into unknown territory. It can really carry you away. Okay, so this was the introduction to the magic tone network, and now I want to show you how you set this up, okay? Let's create a fresh preset, and on this preset all you need to do is you choose the magic tone network. You choose the amount of pads that you want to see per row and per column. And then you choose the scale if you want one. I often leave it even chromatic because that gives my brain more space, more freedom, and I like that. So I leave it in chromatic mode here. Root node is C. You see the blue pad is C, but I tend to do it on D. So that's something that comes from my initial setups that I made 10 years ago, or even longer, when I experienced this layout. And as I said, I won't change the scale. And look at all these scales here. It's incredible how many scales you have. And there are, of course, the usual suspects: major, minor, harmonic minor, natural minor, and so on. Pentatonic scales, Ionian, Dorian, Phrygian, and so on. But there are so many additional scales that you can explore. It's really Wonderland. Scale Wonderland. Then I spoke about the different additional controls that I have there. So in this case, I want to, let me check where they are here. Octave buttons, sustain button, velocity, mod wheel, pitch bend, they're all there. I would probably in this case also leave the preset buttons visible, and I will change this to bigger pads, and I think you're ready to go.